what I'm going to be doing here is we're going to be showing the first, 30-ish minutes of the film. Of course, if you want to watch it, it's released now. So last night at 12, put it out. You can get it on nyscb.org. You can watch it for free. You sign up with the code flatearth, all underpays together, and you'll be able to watch the film. But I'm excited to share this with you guys because I've been following the Flat Earth movement since the big first international conference Robbie put on, and it was in, 2017, in November. So, I've seen Rob kind of go through his journey. 2015, I started to look into some of the videos, and then whenever the conference came up, I came to this point where I was like, all right, well, this information that's causing people to become flat earthers, this is some interesting stuff, and it's important to maybe archive this information, how so many people are being convinced before this stuff is scrubbed from the internet. And so that was really the primary reason that I wanted to document this movement, the way I voiced the film. I tried to do it in an unbiased way, just trying to present why the movement grew as a whole, and to put up the question for believers in creationists in general. If science at large is deeming biblical beliefs as unscientific, for example, a six-day creation, which you don't have to be a flat earther to believe in the six-day creation, as many creationist ministries today don't. They're not flat earthers, but they propose all those things as to be biblical truths. If flat earth is this red flag, this red herring, and you can see the censorship coming against flat earth and those beliefs, could this be a warning for believers in general who are not even flat earthers yet, that the day and age of faith in the Bible becoming a dangerous belief or something that needs to be censored, could this be a red flag? And so that was kind of the approach I took when looking at the film. And I got some really fun footage, some funny stuff, a lot of cool things that I learned on the journey, and I'm excited to share with you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and play a short portion, the beginning of the film pretty much. And of course you can catch the rest of it by looking it up on nyscb.org. And then we're going to call some people that were in the film up. I'm going to ask a couple of questions. We'll have some discussions, bring up some of the topics that were mentioned in the film. And then if you guys want to throw in some questions related to some of these topics we talked about or that you've seen in the film, feel free to do so, and we'll open it up to anybody to ask questions there. So please bear with me. I know the audio won't be that great because we're coming off of this small speaker up here because there's not a setup for audio with this setup here. But I hope you guys enjoy the film.
I want y'all to take a look up above you at the disco line. See what's going on? Look on the wall. Even a disco ball for Northern Carolina was flat up there.
The Flat Earth Theory. It used to be the last conspiracy even conspiracy theorists looked at. Just a few years ago, a word search on YouTube would yield videos with several thousand views. Nothing truly viral. Yet somehow this fringe topic, in the past 2 years, has exploded into the public eye.
What's that? What? I hope that teaches you a lesson you'll never forget.
Recoil, disdain.
You're wrong! Hold on, no. I'm sorry. Well, you have one. Okay.
Mass public re-education.
It's just a cop.
Yeah, right.
And the earth is flat.
Seriously, with road resistance to impacts. The earth isn't flat. This is what I see now, along with a new search result. Video after video with millions of views, all addressing the topic. It it is so crazy, so far out there, this topic of cosmology and the shape of the Earth, why is it getting so much attention? Instead of trying to debunk the theory, I decided to entertain it, to become friends with the people who have decided to take another look at reality as we have been taught. Whether it was purely an intellectual exercise or a draw of such a contrarian position, I decided to try and figure it out. Why do people believe the Earth is flat? Bottom line, what if? What if they're not crazy? What if there's some truth to what is being exposed? What if NASA has lied to us about some things? What if the ancients were onto something, and modern scientists are trying to hide or create? What if we have been indoctrinated in some things falsely? Have I actually seen the curvature with my own eyes? Have you? What if some of the conspiracies that have led people to this belief are factual? Could there be official documentation supporting the theory? Or what about the moon landings? How could they have lied? What if this be a conspiracy that's too big to hide? Everyone knows the Earth is round, right? I don't want to be anti-science, so what is the evidence? Who would be in charge of the deception? What if the Earth is flat? Wait, I get it. You are automatically having a strong reaction against what was just proposed. But listen, the intellectual value of what you're about to watch, that is, if you decide to stick around for the remainder of this film, is this. Freedom of speech involving the internet is about to be assaulted more than any other time since its conception. You might not be a flat earther, but the fact of the matter is, some pretty interesting points are being brought up by conspiracy theorists, and they don't really line up with the mainstream narrative. The fire was just too intense that a hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site. Didn't believe that. Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories. 1,700-acre secluded redwood grove. Leaders from around the world, prime ministers, chancellors, presidents, governors, again, the heads of industry, banking, academia, the media, Hollywood, traveled there to engage in bizarre, ancient Canaanite, Luciferian, Babylon mystery religion ceremonies. Men who participated in this ritual are Dwight D. Eisenhower, Richard Nixon, Werner von Braun, Herbert Hoover, and astronaut Neil Armstrong. Hail, battleships, eternal flame! Once again, midsummer sets us free! Are you afraid to take a look? Already, social media platforms like Facebook and YouTube are censoring fringe topics that are deemed too controversial. It boils down to what is the objective truth, and who gets to decide what information is dangerous or not. For Christians and people of religious faith, this should be a particularly pertinent topic because many already challenge modern scientific positions such as the theory of evolution, or even the Big Bang, a belief that's held by many modern scientists. Millions of a millionth 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 of a second. It went from a size smaller than an atom to bigger than a galaxy. Or the accuracy of carbon dating methods, with their own independent research that supports biblically confirming topics like a worldwide flood or intelligent design. These fly in the face of many institutions and scientific communities, just like flat Earth. How long until these positions are deemed dangerous by information-sharing platforms? What if there is something fishy to the information we have been conditioned to believe as absolute truth? The moon landings, false flags.
Now it is a seed upon the wind, taking root in many nations.
Vaccines.
You get your information from a book written by men you've never met, and you take their words as truth.
Photographs of Earth. And many smaller inconsistencies.
It's incredible that we can keep track of Egyptian pots from 2,000 years ago, and when those tapes made only 40 years ago.
We've been able to track it down. Be leading people to the overarching and stigmatized belief that the Earth is flat. I've attended every conference in North America since the movement began. My name is Jacob Grant, and I'm traveling to the first International Flat Earth Conference. What brings you here? Flat Earth Convention. The Flat Earth International Convention 2017. They're about to have their worldview rocked. These travelers are about to witness a Flat Earth billboard. You can see that they're obviously dedicated to getting the word out that the Earth is flat. So we'll see. Hopefully they get the attention they need, and some people will see this driving down the highway. Very, very interesting. Insert to the truth. The flat truth. The truth.
I'm Robbie Davidson. I'm the founder and organizer of FEC, Flat Earth International Conference. The intention is also for media, to show the media that honestly, we're serious, and if there's something going on, it definitely needs to be, brought out and talked about.
Back in the speech, a list of things who are doing the things that are known today. And before several hundred trolls decided to wake up every morning and stop every single thing I say on social media, those were the good old days. Well, those days are gone. So we're going to talk about my journey here today. A quest for truth. Who am I, first of all? Me.
More people need to get out there and question why they believe what they believe. Just get out there and start doing tests for yourself. Because when you see it for yourself, that's a game changer. It's one thing to listen to me or some other speaker talk about, our experiences and what we believe. That's okay, whatever. But you go out there and do it for yourself, well, wow. Then you're a believer. And then you are going to go out and spread it to everybody you know. And then, my whole thing is like, look, don't believe me, go test it for yourself. You go test it for yourself and say, hey, don't believe me, go test it for yourself. And it's going to perpetuate that. Many people want to know, what is your justification for believing in the flat earth? Every one of us got into this. None of us got into this to try to prove flat earth. All of us got into this to try to disprove flat earth, to try to prove the globe, to try to hold on to what we think we believe. But in the process of doing our own tests and observations, we found, something different than what we thought we understood to be true.
I believe
The Earth is flat.
Couldn't find the curvature.
Level of water, hydrostatic equilibrium.
A body of water not be convex at the surface.
The Bible says so.
Because God is not a liar. He said it's flat, so it's flat. The Bible.
I believe the Word of God.
God said so. The Bible tells me so.
A lot of what is drawn flat earthers to the belief is a skepticism of modern science, a skepticism of organizations like NASA. And this is not because they deny the importance of real science, but because they want to challenge the false religion of science so-called.
I'm Joe Taylor from Crosbyton, Texas, near Lubbock in West Texas. I am the founder and the curator of the Mount Blanco Fossil Museum in the St. John. So the flat Earth thing here, once you get into paleontology, you get into giants, which gets into Nephilim, which gets into other biblical questions, which raises the question of, is the government or the public schools and institutions told us the truth? So the flat Earth guys come along and they go, no, they lied about that too. So I said, well, okay, let me look into it. That's what I'm doing.
I have my camera Nikon D900. I saw buildings far away, places far away, and I did the calculation, and there's no way the Earth is going to sphere. 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with flat water.
Are Christians willing to question and challenge the cosmology that is presented by the same scientists that push the theory of evolution?
This stuff right here, high altitude we've all seen it. But this is without the great terms created by these fisheye lenses and cameras. When I begin to see this 108,000 feet, 121,000 feet, when I begin to see this kind of stuff right here, I was like, man, this is for real. This can't be ignored.
As I was sitting with people there at the conference, I realized many were coming from a biblical faith-based perspective on why they believed the Earth was flat. But that also led them into scientific exploration.
Because the Bible says prove all things, test all things, prove it, make sure. Amen. So, that's what we did. Right? So, did I go to this YouTube video? Start with the NASA stuff. This is from space.com. These are NASA pictures.
What is their system of scientific research here?
Today we announced the formation of Field Engineers Corps, an international group dedicated to true scientific discovery, free of dogmatic agenda.
FE Corps is a non-profit organization of talented individuals devoted to discovering truth. We will expand knowledge beneficial to all people by bringing together expertise, dedication, and funding to conduct purposeful scientific observations.
FE Corps is research-based on actual observation and not assumptions.
The result will be proven facts.
These new facts will result in myriad benefits to our world.
It's time to challenge the status quo and remove the veil of suicide.
That's the handbook of God that we're trying to show. And through the dogmatic indoctrination, I do believe this is satanic at the core. So when we go together, we've got to come together and to move this God like this. And we're looking at people that have been passionate and come to life.
And we have a lot of fantastic people involved, a lot of really smart engineers and technical people, ranging everywhere from agricultural experts to engineering, mechanical, electrical, all kinds of disciplines. And we're always looking for great people to bring into the organization. So this is going to be the chance where we have to be able to do our science and present it to the world.
They look at flat earthers as crazy. They look at flat earthers as people who have tinfoil hats.
That line of thinking has undoubtedly labeled me as a full-fledged tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracy theorist.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
The concept that we have to put blind faith
countries go to war, to 9/11, to the fake Apollo missions, to chemtrails, okay? And 1,000 other so-called conspiracy theories. Is that these events are much closer to being conspiracy fact than conspiracy theory any day of the week. For many of these great illusions to be successful in perpetrating, a collaboration at the very highest levels of government needs to be taking place. Definitely, something wrong with this world, and I think most of us are aware of that.
And after a while, while researching NASA, I became quite aware that all the published images that are out there are clearly fabricated. And that's kind of how I came at the flat earth. I was researching and looking at NASA. Well, maybe the reason that NASA is hiding everything and doing all the fake underwater photos and all this stuff is maybe because they're hiding the fact that the Earth is not what they have told us. So we've all seen these pictures, the famous blue marble, fact that they're creating Photoshop.
It is Photoshop, but it's happening. It is Photoshop, but it's happening. It is Photoshop, but it's. One of the things that these guys make all about CGI. For example, this is the software that ESA uses to get a picture taken from the ground and then compose it on the Photoshop. They have their own apps running inside Photoshop, and so that's this is how they mix the lights and they send up like a real galaxy taken from the highway. So it's all made on computer and when you see that.
As I was sitting there listening to some of this information for the first time, a lot of the techniques that NASA uses to project the worldview that we have started to make sense in the eyes of a flat earther who was debunking the information. I was hooked. I mean, the skepticism comes from NASA's ability to alter these images, and from recordings that seem to indicate that there was an attempt to alter the view that people had of what they were doing with the space programs. And from my conspiratorial background, this just intrigued me so much, so I had to keep listening.
Of course, they have the most engaging painting both ever made. This is a picture from the 80s, because in the 80s, the CGI technology, was better painted than doing the computer.
And the evidence is absolutely overwhelming.
Are you able to defend your belief that the Earth is a sphere? And also, are you going to question science at large when they have been proven to have lied to you in the past? The next leg of my journey was the Canadian Flat Earth Conference. You would think that a Flat Earth Conference would hold enough excitement, but while we were there, some of the most alarming and exciting things yet began to happen. That's Patricia Steer. She likes to make videos about Flat Earth. You may have seen her in the recent Netflix documentary, Behind the Curve. She also likes cats. Some people have called her a government agent, but she seemed pretty normal to me.
It's the secret show. Let's be abnormal together.
In fact, people like to say that about pretty much anybody that speaks at these conferences, as well as some other pretty threatening statements. Patricia is about to get interrupted by a pretty alarming noise.
I really enjoyed everything about being you of these live comments. This is the first time I ever been to and we're happy to be here. And Long is amazing and she's really for sure I thought I was going to get it.
That's Mark Sargent. He made the Flat Earth Clues videos, and he got a lot of people investigating the Flat Earth theory. The Earth is flat because I made the Flat Earth Clue, and it's on YouTube right now. He's the guy that pointed at the Flat Earth door.
All I did was walk up to a door, point at it, and say, you know what?
I think there's some really interesting things on the other side of this.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain where you are. Our response team is on their way to locate the source of the alarm. We thank you for your cooperation and patience during this time. We have more information shortly.
This is Jared Campanella. He makes a lot of videos too, and does some pretty cool experiments to test the curvature of the Earth. He was also in the film Behind the Curve. In the film, there was an experiment that seemed to prove that there was some type of curvature. Did the experiment debunk the flat Earth theory, or is there a reasonable explanation from Jared regarding the experiment? Most media has been misrepresenting the positions of flat earthers, so there could be an explanation.
That's explained as simply the mirage.
Please remain where you are. Presently, our response team is on their way to locate the source of the alarm. Presently, will explain the immediate danger to yourself. Please wait for further instructions on the communication system. We apologize for any inconvenience.
This is my friend Rick Hubbard. Faith is an important aspect to Rick's pursuit of truth, and this is a common denominator for most flat earthers.
You're willing to learn. And that's God-given. Because it's real easy to stay in that programmed mind. It's real easy to stay in that comfortable pride that everything's cool, we got this, we know, I know. It's really hard to admit that you've been lied to or you've been duped. Because we broke the program. And we didn't do it on our own. I believe it's God-given. I truly believe it's God-given. I believe there's a movement by the Almighty and His hand is all over this. For the past 2 weeks, I've been catching flack from all kinds of people about the flat Earth and doing my own tests to see if, in fact, some of the things that we've been taught aren't true. I do like to question things. I'm not going to just take somebody's word for it because I don't believe the 9/11 stories and all the hijinks of the geopolitical world, and I definitely don't trust scientists that don't believe in God. That's simple. So, my grandma passed away a couple months ago, and I had to go grab a couple things out of the garage first, and I had this box that has just been sitting right here on my front porch for the past 4 or 5 days, and I haven't even opened it. I just knew it was my old box. Because it's an old Nike box that was probably packed in the 90s. I just literally opened it. I knew that there was something in there for my daughter that she wants to. And in there, you can't write this stuff, by the way. In there is a folder that says the Ricker Hummer. Social Studies, 1990. Look at the Nike Air. Look, and it's so weird. That's on my folder from school, from back in the 80s, probably, obviously. I graduated in 1997. I've been praying about confirmation from God about the shape of the Earth. Okay, I know. You've been looking for all those, I know. So here's the folder. The Ricker, 1990, Social Studies, whatever. I open this up. February 1st, 1984. Rick Hummer. You can't write this stuff, man. Rick Hummer. Maps and globes are tools of geography. I looked down and thought, okay, what is this? It says, do you know the answers? What were the early, what's it say? The early, what ideas? What were the early ideas about the shape of the Earth? In my own writing, it was flat. And finding this out, I said,
Wow. This website, don't be afraid. We all have our own reasons for investigating this topic.
I don't know what's going on. This podcast meeting, and I have evidence of these staying place. So everybody stay in the room. Okay? Make sure the door is secured because it's locked. They'll have more closed also.
That's John. He's with conference security, and he's there to keep us going.
Okay? Does everybody stay calm? Figure out what's going on. Robbie's going to go to people.
Why are we calm? There's nothing better than being locked in a room full of conspiracy theorists under an emergency threat.
Please remain where you are. Leslie has response to is on their way to locate the source of the alarm. Cancel this for the immediate aid to yourself.
This is Rob Skiba. Rob begrudgingly became a flat earther through his own attempts to debunk the theory.
Okay, so what do you think, Rob?
I can see Chicago about 42 miles away. I can see it.
He's a black belt in conspiracy, but he also has spent a lot of time investigating what the Bible has to say about the earth.
Allowing the Bible to speak for itself. Below are a number of Bible verses without commentary.
I grew up as a missionary kid on the other side of the world, so I guess if the earth is round, I was upside down most of my childhood. I've since come to my own conviction of faith, so what the scriptures say is important to me. Could the Bible say the earth is flat? We'll look into this later.
There's a really nicely done drawing somebody did showing the ancient Hebrew conception of the universe. This is from Logos Bible software, which is really interesting.
Please wait for further discussions over our communication system.
This is Bob Nodell of the Globebusters. He likes to take a rational approach to the flat earth question.
We are of the opinion that not only is the earth flat, and I don't mean there's not surface features like mountains and stuff like that, but we're not on an actual ball, it's a plane.
Science has been shifting from discovery to dogma.
Dogma is a belief. Science is discovery based on reason and refutable observation.
But science is dogmatic. Its goal is to defend a theory. When an established theory judges the validity of new observations, scientific discovery ends.
Is there actual science that's repeatable and testable that can point to a flat earth conclusion? What about evidence to the contrary? Bob and a couple other guys tackled these questions on their show.
Investigate yourself, do your own research. That's what matters.
We apologize for any inconvenience.
I decided to find out what was causing the alarm and ended up running into Roland Reddy. Roland was looking to get to the bottom of the noise as well because it was interrupting the conference.
I smell smoke. I smell smoke over here. I smell smoke. There's smoke. Smoke. There's smoke.
Yeah, look above you, there's smoke.
Right here, that's smoke in here. There's a smoke in this hallway. There's smoke in this hallway.
Turns out forest fires were filling the upper levels of the hotel with smoke.
My eyes started burning, so definitely uncomfortable. I think I am getting a little bit hoarse, yeah.
Edmonton looks like it's been picked up and relocated to the surface of Mars, with the smoke casting and everyone all over the city.
The smoke everywhere. They got called on fire. The fire coming down. The smoke coming this way because they had changed the wind. So that's what that is. We're okay. Hey, no need to panic.
meet the Edmonton Fire Department at a Flat Earth conference. Who would have thought? The speakers I introduced are regulars at the conferences. And have made many of the most influential Flat Earth videos. However, they are simply a small number of the activists spreading Flat Earth information.
The globe head, you can actually see out of it and everything, so we got a little helmet that we ripped out in here and put in there, and then we got sunglasses that are actually American flag glasses, so we're going to get smacked with the truth about the reality in which we live in.
Sounds like he's been listening to a little bit too much of Bill Nye.
I'm a speck with a bunch of other specks, orbiting a speck with billions of specks in the middle of specklessness. I suck. I do nothing. I run the largest flat earth group in the world. Next lady? No, lady, nothing. It's called the Official Flat Earth Global Schedule. There's 120,000 people in there. You guys ever research flat Earth? Have you ever looked in the flat Earth?
I like to compare the movement to how Marvel built the Avengers thematic universe. At first, you had Iron Man, and Thor, and a Hulk movie or two, all building their own fan bases. Then, you have a guy like Robbie Davidson. We can call him Captain Canada, who calls everyone to assemble! Eh? And before you know it, there is a team of people all ready to take on the world. Social influencers have jumped on the strange viral trend. Some making videos debunking Flat Earth, others entertaining. A whole slew of celebrities, talk show hosts, and other media sources had to add their 2 cents to the Flat Earth topic. Let's see some of what they had to say, because this can show us a lot about how the movement grew as a whole.
That was just a little taste. I'm really excited to share with you guys. It's such a great journey to be able to rub shoulders with Rob and Robbie and Rick and Nate and a bunch of other people that, they're really stepping out on a limb when they're coming against mainstream science. And it comes with its downsides, of course. And so to be able to record this journey as the Flat Earth movement grows was just a fantastic opportunity for me to learn and to see how the world is going to be coming against the narrative of the Bible with full force in the very near future. So one of the topics that I cover in the film is the idea that censorship is something that is just around the corner. See, we live in this age of technology, in the dawn of the internet. In the past 20 years, information has been able to travel and spread so freely amongst so many different people. That's why there is such a thing as conspiracy theorists that have looked into 9/11 and vaccines and Flat Earth. The only reason these things exist is because we have been given this golden age of the internet, where this information can be accessed by people like us and can be transmitted between us, and we can find the alternate narrative. But in the very near future, we have technology coming out, and we already see it, with especially this year, the amount of censorship that has come on fringe topics. We saw first with Pinterest, they were attacking vaccines. You can't even find or search alternate, theories on vaccination. Whenever it comes to flat Earth, there's a lot of the videos that are no longer able to be found. So the very thing that caused the movement to grow, that caused people to wake up and start to question all these things that we're being told as absolute fact, when there is some inconsistency, these are slipping through our fingers, and pretty soon it's not going to be available for public consumption. The internet is being tailored for your education, and it's not a widespread, widely available, many different, it's what they want you to believe. And we saw that in Project Veritas is talking about how people's feeds are being tailored specifically to push them in a political direction. And how much more do they feel it's justified to then tailor what they would consider fake news? And we even see that just recently, Facebook is coming out and deeming this post has been reviewed by our scientific community, and it has been looked at as a fake news thing, and we're not going to let you post it, we're going to flag it. It's labeled as hateful, or it's labeled as whatever. And guys, the red flags are all over. So whenever it comes to the flat Earth information, the reason I felt it was so valuable to record and archive this information is because we want to remember what were the underlying conspiracies, what were the things that led people to this overarching belief of flat Earth. Because there is so much value that people that are not yet into flat Earth, they can't sweep it all away just because it's a big kill word, flat Earth. Instead, we have to look at everything, and we have to see what is the truth behind these conspiracies. And what we find is that a lot of people who have looked into all of these different topics, and they have found deception, have been built up to this belief in flat Earth. And so that's kind of the premise of the film. Let's look at all the underlying conspiracies that then build up to this overarching belief, and then what does that mean for us as believers and as Christians today? And I have a great segment at the end of the film that touches on the biblical topic. And I interviewed several great men that have put their lives on the line to stand up for truth and for the Word of God. And I'm just going to throw out one thing, like the Genesis account. Genesis 1 is the best place to start. Most of what we are taught in schools and universities and as truth, whether it be they're telling us the Big Bang is how everything's come about and how planets form, they all build up to the point of discrediting the Word of God. And so whenever we look at Genesis 1, what day was the sun, moon, and stars created? 4. What day was the waters divided from the dry land? 2. Well, we see that there's a major difference there in the chronology. We have Earth before sun, moon, and stars, meaning the sun didn't come and gather a bunch of dust particles with gravity and cause planets to form. And, it's just with these very base things that we're being taught and indoctrinated as kids through school systems, they're already a contradiction to the Word of God. So that's the danger, because people that are not flat earthers, that are believers, that are creationists, that believe in a 6-day creation, very soon I have the nagging feeling that their information or their approach to challenging science at large, or scientism as we come to learn the term regularly from Robbie, is they are then going to be under attack for just their simple biblical beliefs. So flat earthers are like these forerunners that are causing this red flag to go up. And we need to say, hey, this information needs to be preserved. We need to be able to have this conversation. And if the Word of God is under attack, we need to stand together and point out, hey, having these beliefs is not unscientific. Let's figure out how to demonstrate it with our experiments. But also, let's not buy into what they're telling us just because it's easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite a couple of the people that were at the film to come up here. I'm going to ask them a couple questions related to some of the things that I bring up in the film. So Robbie, Rick, Rob. Everybody keep down. All right. and Rob, for standing for truth, it's been very inspirational. And I think for all of us, it's been very inspirational. And I want to go ahead and kind of ask a couple overarching questions. We each can go through and answer them as you feel led. And then I'm going to open it up to anybody here. If you want to ask questions, about the conferences or the movement as it's growing, what's next? Some of these things are on all of our minds. We're here at a conference that is one of the few that is actually allowing this alternate narrative to be presented, to be explained. And I think this is an important thing to give a voice to everybody to be able to ask further questions. So I want to start off with censorship. What have you guys experienced, and how do you think that is going to influence the movement as a whole? In the next 5 years, when no flat Earth information is allowed to be propagandized or put online or able to be on YouTube, for example, how is the movement going to grow? And what do you guys think would be the best way for people to continue sharing this truth when maybe we won't be able to use the same means we have in the past?
How has censorship affected me? I'm a filmmaker, but for the last 10 years or so, it's shifted more into full-time research. Research used to be my hobby. It turned into a profession, and as a result, became primarily a content producer online and on YouTube and whatnot. And so that was my source of income, or at least a good chunk of my income. And so the beginning of it was they started just demonetizing stuff. And, that hurts. I mean, you spend days and weeks working on stuff and you put it out there, and, it doesn't cost you guys anything to watch it. You might have to wait 3 seconds to hit the skip button on the ads or whatever, but it doesn't cost you guys anything. And yet we can still benefit from it, as content producers. And then YouTube just put this, they called it the ad apocalypse, where they just started really demonetizing a lot of content producers. And so that's where it really hit me at first. It was the hardest. But then they started doing what they call shadow banning, which is where you put a video out but nobody can find it. Like, it's there. And so then they start talking about they're going to start eliminating channels. And a lot of people have already been eliminated. And when I look at the criteria that they're using to eliminate channels, I'm like, check. My day's numbered. Right now I feel like I'm just operating by the grace of God. But, you spend years building up a subscription base. I've got about 184,000 people, but that took a long time, a whole lot of work. And they could just at any second say, it's gone. So where do I go from there? Well, this is great, and we'll continue to do events like this. This is one way where we continue to get the word out. Obviously, your friends and family, word of mouth. I'm not really a flat smacker. I'm not an evangelist for flat Earth. Like some people out there. I mean, I'll talk to anybody who wants to talk about it, but I'm not actively out there going, hey, there's flat. There are some people that's their personality and that's what they do. For me, I feel like the way to get what I believe to be true out to the masses is through mainstream television. And you guys maybe have heard of this thing called Skiba. I really believe, what's funny is people go into science fiction suspending their disbelief. And that's how the devil has been very successful at seeding the world with all sorts of worldviews through all sorts of various media. I enjoy the superhero movies and stuff like that. I like that. I read the comic books as a kid, the MC universe, right? Look into that, and they're always pushing the ancient aliens multiverse narrative, evolution. Evolution, multiverse is always in your face. And the ancient aliens crowd, it's 14 seasons now. Always, there's nothing countering that. So now, we can make this thing happen. I believe that's going to be a way to take it to millions of people under the radar.
Censorship's affected me that every time I go to try and find something, I can't find it. It's gone. And if I didn't download it and pick it, then it's gone. This whole thing started with Rob, with me. I actually, just in general, just the whole process of trying to find the answers. And I truly believe it was actually the Most High that actually put that in me. There's nothing that I could do to go after him on my own, first and foremost. He triggered all of this. I truly believe that. And in that process, it's like a filtration process. You go and you look up one thing, and you look up another thing, you look at another thing. That doesn't mean that I know everything or anything. That's not it at all. Because I want to know. And it'd be a lot easier to just be in the slumber and still have, season tickets to Notre Dame football and, cracking open a beer and looking at my watch and say, is the preacher done talking yet? I've got a game here. Come on, we got to get livers on the grill. If that's the easier life, which I believe it is in the worldly sense, but if God starts something in your life, and this is what I was talking about yesterday too, if He actually triggers this, you're going to have a yearning. You won't be able to stop trying to find His answer. And I believe that it's His Spirit that's being poured out over all the nations, whether this is the last days or the latter days or whatever, but this truth movement that's happening is bringing people that were once so indoctrinated that they would actually call and fight on a playground because they believed in the system, that they came from a chimpanzee and that's why they were good on the monkey bars. That they would be willing to fight over it rather than actually looking at, no, there's a creator with this beautiful mind and He makes something really intimate for us to be a part of. And it's all of this self-contained system. And everything you research, you do, and you test the science of it, it works on that model. It works in the physics. It's working. And slowly but surely, the science has caught up to the lies, and it's going to continue to do so. And the censorship has to be poured on because they want to control the minds. They want to deceive the masses. And that's what's going on. And that's why I try to tell people. So how did this happen with me? Rob. We were working on Seed together. I was doing some voice work with him and just kind of yapping in the process. We became brothers, basically. As I tell people, it's my brother, but it's my brother. It's my brother. Everybody here is probably my brother and sister. That's why we're here, So if I don't know all your names, I apologize. Same name as Robbie. Robbie and I met Robbie because of Rob. Because of this yearning, we started talking about doing something, bringing people together. Somehow I could, and with you, through Kip. It's just this network that I couldn't have planned. There's no way I could have done any of this. Just like the lightning strike that we saw. What most of you don't know is that there were no clouds that day. It was chemtrail haze. That was it. Some people were like, chemtrails. Okay, well, that's fine. Because it's natural for a jet to be trailed for 2 hours and turn into a layer. But that's the type of stuff that happened. That was around, I think, 2 in the afternoon, and I had literally just hung up with Rob. It was one of his worst days that I had ever experienced with him since I had known him, because people were turning on him. Literally, he was getting hate mail because he was just looking. He was just questioning the official story. So here's my buddy all the way down in Texas. I felt hopeless. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be the coach. I'm going to be the coach that drives the quarterback space. And I said, you know how to win the game. Stay in the game. And I did it. And I was like, I really don't need that right now. It worked for me in football. So right after that happened with Rob, I'll explain this. When that happened with Rob, I looked through my picture window at my house, in front of the house, and I looked down and I'm like, oh, there's that shoebox. He's like, squirrel. I was like, oh, there's the shoebox. I knew there was something in there. I had to get my daughter in the bathroom before my wife got home. I looked at the car. I was going to go drop it off under than I thought. My wife's going to be only a minute. I got to get my daughter in the tub. I'm like, Azariah, get ready to get in the tub. Daddy's got a surprise for you. It wasn't perfect. There's action figures in the box. That's what I put away for my kids someday. Before I moved to LA, I put a bunch of toys I had as a kid. And had the mindset to put them up in a garage in my grandma's where I knew nobody was going to get them 7 feet in the air on a shelf. And they were there since like 1993 to 2015. Never touched. So I went to grab the stuff, and that's how this whole thing started. My journey started. And in this process, I watched him get nailed with hatred. I watched Robbie get hit with hatred. I watched Bob Nodell from Glowbusters, which I ask you all, even if you're not a flat earther, that's fine. But pray for those that don't know the Lord yet. Pray for those that's the main goal. And I've seen so many people come to know him, and I'm talking flat out atheists. They are, like I said, they're willing to fight over on the playground, even as adults. Like once today, I just was telling a friend of mine, Thomas, from my area, I have the guy I grew up with actually caused a physical confrontation with me over this topic. A guy I've known my whole life wants to fight me over it, wants to derail me. I'm like, What's wrong with you? You don't, I mean, how can you not see what's going on around you? The whole thing is, they can't. And he tells us, be ready for this persecution that's coming. They're going to hate you for my name's sake. Let alone if you start taking away what they think reality is. Because they're that indoctrinated and they're that much into war. So this is war. This is war. That's where it gets real serious. It's not the easy pill to swallow. People want to talk about the red pill and the blue pill. I'm talking about it's a jagged little pill, no matter what color it is. And you have to wash it down. And you've got to keep it down. And the only way to do that is to keep swallowing truth with it. And that's where it's going to turn the tides in this. And we're not going to win over everybody. We're not going to win the masses. We already know what's written. Just be ready. But stand up for the truth. Stay motivated. And love it more than anything. And that's, I guess, that's what it is. That's how I got into this. And I don't do the YouTube thing. I try to help others wherever I can. And my job, I did radio and TV for years. My job is to do what I do, to try to help others. In the process, Jake knows this. Jake's been part of this with me pretty much since the beginning as well. I've been making a movie for 2.5 years. But with a character that I had prior to meeting Rob, and Rob and I met, we started talking about doing something with it, which was completely different. But then the Flat Earth came, it's like, oh, this is where this character is going. This is where it's going. Wasn't anything that I did, wasn't anything that Rob did, wasn't anything that anybody else did. It was all his plan, and all I'm doing is playing it out. And now I'm saying, I'm not to make this guy, this guy, this guy. And so that's all I ask you. Just keep praying for people that don't know this. People say that Flat Earth is not a salvation issue. Tell that to the millions of people who were indoctrinated because there was no father at home to raise the children right to begin with. It's instructed in the scriptures that the man is supposed to be the head of the household. He's supposed to be the spiritual guide of the home. And that's gone. And on top of that being gone, what's been introduced is a science or scientism that Robbie exposes that is actually going to bring people into this mindset that they don't mean anything, like you said with Bill Nye, that now all of a sudden you've got people that don't understand that they had a special place in his mind before the foundations of the earth. And that he chose a time for them to be placed in the womb when they're supposed to be in that womb. And all I can say is I'm very thankful that he put me in a womb to come out in 1971, that I would cross paths with this guy, this guy, this guy, which I'm a lot older than you, but not because I was here first, but you are talented. And you've got a gift, so keep going with what you want. Stay focused. And I say that to each and every one of you, I said this yesterday, if you have a calling, and there's action, that was my thing yesterday, and action. God took the action a long time ago. You're part of it. Take it. Run with it. Go with it. Encourage each other. Be strong. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks. But don't think you know it all. Stay humble as much as you can. Stay powerful in the fact that, I know that this is true. Stay confident. Don't be arrogant. Don't be mean. Stay loving. And stand firm. There's a difference between cockiness and confidence. Stay confident. As Rick said, we definitely are in a war. There's no doubt about it. But understand that the truth cannot be stopped. Yeah. Censorship the censorship that's happening is very, very real. Rob and I can talk about it as content creators on YouTube, what YouTube is doing. But it's not just YouTube as a social media platform. It's pretty much them all right across the board. But understand, if you understand the Bible and how God operates, He has incredible things to do very few. He doesn't need massive amounts. So count yourself lucky in this time period that if you had the privilege to be able to search stuff and find it, but maybe now the onus is up to you. Each one of us play a part in this. Whether a person has 10 subscribers or 1 million or whatever they're doing, they have a gift, they have the ability to reach people, their friends, their family, in their neighborhood. And again, it's going to take every single one of us. People say, what can I do? I'm just me. But understand that somebody put out a video one day, and I stumbled across it. And I was humbled by an atheist making fun of the Bible. That atheist never knew what would happen. And I'm just one example of what God did. But what God did through me. All of a sudden putting on the Flat Earth International Conferences, putting up the channel. One person. We don't know the ripple effect. We never can see it until, when we're in heaven, we look back and we see it. It will be incredible. But the ripple effect is absolutely incredible. So understand that it's not about, well, who am I? Everyone is important. And it's incredible when you understand the way God works. Hands down. We don't need to fear man. We don't have to fear YouTube. We don't have to fear anyone. Because we will adapt. God will give us a new plan, and we will adapt. We will understand the way to go based on His leading. It's His will we seek, not our own. As long as we're seeking His will, we'll be just fine. The war's just getting started, but we're going to be with it.
All right, so I'll just ask one more question, and then for those of you who out there have a question, get it, pop your hand up, and we'll go until the end of time. So this next question is in regards to the danger label that is being placed on the truth or information, or the conspiracy-minded. Just recently I saw on Yahoo that a supposed FBI document came out labeling certain conspiracies as domestic terrorism. Now, this is something you can look up. It's on mainstream news, which is interesting. And, I don't know too much about the credibility of the document. Maybe they just picked up something spooky. Maybe it's real. But the point is that in the book of Revelation, there are people that stand on truth that lose their heads for the sake of the gospel. And there is a great deception that is also talked about in the book of Revelation that is coming, that is going to be pushed by the Antichrist and the false prophets to basically justify their religion and whatever alternate reality they want people to buy into. And so this is a really interesting time, but also we see this red flag of the danger that being truthers, being the conspiracy-minded, and being people that can stand on the Word of God and point to the gospel that we have in the future coming towards us. And so I want to ask you guys, regarding truth and in the face of danger, how do you stand up, even though I know you've all experienced some types of threats and bullying online and people saying awful things, standing on truth in the face of adversity, even unto death, like the scripture talks about, and how that is turned around to be such a benefit to drawing people into the kingdom of God and revealing the truth of the gospel and the validity of scripture and why that is kind of the end goal for standing on these truths. So let's talk about the danger that is being placed on the truth or conspiracy topic, and also about the benefit of the harvest that it is going to reap in, even though we're standing in a very interesting time in history where these things could be labeled as domestic terrorism or worse, something that needs to be squashed out.
Well, I think history has proven that, at least in terms of Christianity, persecution just increases the harvest. I hesitate to use the word persecution in regard to what we're talking about here, because I've been in the formation field in places where people really, truly pay a high price for taking a stand on the biblical truth. And in many cases, very violent situations happen. We haven't experienced this where any of us haven't experienced anything to that degree. Certainly verbal abuse, there's been a lot of it, slander, ridicule, a whole lot of infighting, which is like, really, we're already taking abuse from the outside world. We really need to be shooting each other too. There's all that, but I'll say, and Rick shared a minute ago about some time when I was really down. Well, there were many times I was really down. There were so many times that I wanted to quit and throw in the towel. I can't even tell you. But in every case, whenever that would happen, I'm just like, I'm done. Forget this. Especially the first year, because we were dealing with. It took me a long time. We looked for a full-time job in 2010 to seek truth and write about it and research and get out there, try to get the word out. And struggling. By 2013, things were doing pretty good. 14, things were going a little good. 15, I get into flatearth and boom, right back to zero. So here we are, financially struggling. Sheila's dad was dying of cancer in our living room on hospice. My back was killing me. I couldn't move, and all this. Everybody that used to be friends and supporters, and people abandoning me at conferences, and just one thing after another. So many times. But I would go to the post office, dragging myself in there, like wondering why I'm even breathing. What's the purpose of life? I'm going to quit everything and get a job at Walmart. And I walked in there, and there'd be some dude standing there in scrubs, and he'd see me. He's like, "You can't quit." I'm talking about like, no, man, you changed my life. Like, they saw me on YouTube or whatever. He'd be like, you can't quit. Like, all right, okay, whatever. So then I checked my P.O. box and I got like 4 letters and somebody's telling me, their testimony and I've shared this a few times for the sake of this conversation. It got pretty bad by August I got into it in April 2015. By August, I'm like, I'm done. So I took down every page of my Testimony Globe website and put Phil Collins on there, the song I Don't Care Anymore. I don't care anymore. Drag my head through the blood. I don't care anymore. Yeah, Phil, you get me, man. Phil. So I put Phil Collins up on every page of my website. All right, you win, devil. You beat me down. And, it was a letter from an atheist, former atheist, that made me put it back up again. He wrote this long letter to me, and then at the end of it, he gave me a polite but firm rebuke. And it was basically, how dare you? You have no idea what you're doing, how this is affecting people. Don't you believe what you're saying? And he ended his letter, he said, I'm going to say something that I've never said before. He said, may God grant you the grace and courage and strength to continue doing what you're called. It was an atheist that got me, a former atheist. But, I've got shoe boxes full of letters, and they continue even to this day. From 1,000 people say this is a distraction. That's right, it is. A distraction from the lies that have been told for thousands of years. I just keep telling myself, I'm in this for the harvest. If we're to be known by our fruit, then this is good fruit. And I'm like, all right, Father, you gotta give me strength for another day. Is it gonna get worse? Yeah, it likely will. And in my humanity, I don't want that. Who does? I want to wake up and get abused today. Nobody wants that, but in that time, whatever it is, He gives us the strength to get through it. And that's just the prayer is every day. And I do pray this. I'm like, I pray for this is dangerous prayer, but I prayed for a long time. Coach, put me in the game. If we're on the end of this game here, I don't want to be on the bench. I want to be running the race, and help you finish well. I pray that all the time. So, I just have to believe that whatever's coming, that He'll give us the strength to get through it.
So that day when I grabbed you by the face mask, you just needed to breathe it, right? You just needed to breathe it. And Gatorade. I can say this, it's an inspiration to watch Rob go from where I was, when I first ran to him, I was researching the Nephilim, I was researching the Giants, I was researching Hollow Earth, I was researching all this stuff. And all I can say is the danger, go back to the question, the danger of this whole thing, right? The gist of it? Yeah, the danger in this is that you could lose your life. And that's the whole point. Because you don't want the worldly life that you were in. The whole point is to wake up and to think new. And if you start to think new, think differently than what you once thought, you're repenting. That's what the word means. Repentance means to begin to think differently. Turning away from your sin is the byproduct of starting to think differently. So you're being deprogrammed by this truth coming on board in your life. And people that cross your paths, just like the atheists. When I look back at this, and I look back at the quote-unquote indoctrination that I received from this thing called an educational system, I look back at it and go, wow, most of what I was indoctrinated with was actually pop culture. It wasn't the textbook. Because I wasn't opening the textbook unless I had to. I was looking at the movies. I was looking at Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, even Alf. Alf. Here, kitty. I look at this. There was Alf cereal. I ate it. I had Alf cereal. It was delicious. So, when I look at this, I realize that the danger in this is that if you actually see it, and it weighs on you, and you ignore it, don't think it's going to go away. It's not going to go away. And the more that you try and run from it, well, the more you're going to step on Legos in the middle of the night. In your life. Honestly, because that's what it's like. I mean, yeah, you may think that you're going to be able to run from this, but there's a reason why your eyes and your ears are hearing it and seeing it. I don't care who you are. Now use your tongue as a sword. Yeah. That's what it's all about. And that's the warfare. And yeah, I'm trying to take the comic relief just because that's what I'm good at. That's how I've always dealt with pain. It's always just like, whew, this is going to be a tough topic. Laugh your way through it. It makes it a lot easier. And that's a gift as well. I truly believe that. It's not that I'm more gifted than anybody else. It's the fact that I'm not going to sit on my butt and do it, like Rob said. But I did. I remember standing outside looking up one night. And I did. I made a covenant with God between He and I. And I know what I said, and I know what's happened since. And all I can say is you all witnessed it. Literally. And Rob can attest to this. When he first called me and said, hey, man, have you seen any splatter stuff on social media, like DM it at all? I'm like, yeah, I've seen it, but he goes, well, have you looked into it? Like, no. I'm like, no. And I did. That's the only time I laughed. I'm like, no. And he goes, I go, probably just something to make us look stupid. And all of a sudden, he was quiet. And I go, why, is there something to it? And he went, well. And I could see his face. I'm like, and it hit me. Because I was like, you know what? It is. There's no way it fit me because I learned this in 6th grade. That wasn't there. I don't know why, but it wasn't there. But my buddy says, well, and that right then and there, I'm like, uh-oh. and he goes, here, I'm going to send you something. I just listened to this last night. You got to hear this. I'm like, okay. So it was April 16th. Because you heard this on April 15th. So April 16th is the next day you called me, and I was actually leaving for Michigan. I had a 6-hour drive, and I put on Mark Sargent's Flatearth Blues. And in the process of watching Mark's videos, I couldn't even stop him. I called him back, like, dude, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, oh my gosh, there's no fourth wall. There's nothing. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. The water's a natural level. Oh my gosh, I could see Chicago across Lake Michigan growing up. Rob went, wait, what did you say? I could see Chicago. Oh, come on. I'm like, no, I can see Chicago. And then right away, it was like the light bulbs came on. Test. We didn't know that though. But I said to him on the phone, I said, dude, I wish I had. I was like, man, this makes me mad. I actually got kicked out of class for saying that I could see Chicago across Lake Michigan during the time that the folder shows up that was in the video that you're talking about. The craziest part about all this is that when all this started, I told Rob and Mark Sargent separately on the phone, I wish I had the workbook. I could see the pages they used to indoctrinate me with and see what I wrote in my own writing. That was 2 months before the box shows up, that I found the box that my mom, my aunt, and I can't ask my grandmother, she's passed, so they all know the answer. How did that folder get in the box? Where did it come from? Because I was not the kid that was taking home folders from my locker. If it didn't fit, it was going in the bin. And I was skipping all my way to Jamie Hevel's house because we had a game of basketball going in the driveway. I wasn't taking any of that stuff home. So anyway, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so we're a little short on time, so we're going to do 2 quick questions. So if you have a question, raise your hand. We'll answer them pretty concisely, and then we're going to wrap up here and get on to the next show. So who's got a question? Anybody? Yes.
I think your mom and grandma on the hand, they did not put the
No. And literally, like, it wasn't a workbook. It was workbook pages that back in the 80s when there was the gas shortage and all this, 1983 and 4, remember, we had ditto copies. So it was literally workbook pages that I remember filling out, but it was actual ditto copies in the folder. So the entire lesson was in that folder. Everything was there. Every single thing. And it looked like it was just on my lawn. That's what freaked me out. That's why I was like, that's why I started recording. I started recording that video literally after Rob was like, dude, not right now. I gotta go. I was like, okay, cool. And he was like, he was done talking about it. That's the Bill Collins thing. It goes to it. Yeah. So that's that whole time stamp call. Like, oh, man. one person. Anybody else? Yes.
For the first book, yeah. Did you find it easier talking to Christians or non-believers about flatearth?
That was very fine.
I find it easier to talk to non-believers about it. I mean, this is a fun, safe environment. This is great. This is awesome. I love you guys. But, out there, it's true. I would rather spend a month in a stadium full of atheists than a week in a room of Christians. That's just the way, it's fun.
Your enemy could be of your own household. Many will proclaim with their lips, but their hearts are far from it. That's what I run into as well. I find it a lot easier to talk to somebody who actually believes the same thing that I believe, to be honest with you, when it comes to the cosmos stuff now. It doesn't matter if they're a believer or not. But, the one thing I'll say is Rob has taken on the challenge, as many others have, as many of you have, that once that truth's in you, it doesn't matter who you're going to talk to. Yeah, it's easier to talk to one or the other. But his will is going to be done, and you're going to say the things you're going to say, and you're going to do these things. And that's why I say just stay encouraged and do that.
All right, I'll leave you guys with this: can we trust the people that have pushed the theories of evolution and Big Bang? Can we trust the agencies and the governments that have been proven to have lied to us in the past? And if we can't, then that means in the very near future where the VR technology and the quantum computing that can put an image before you that looks 100% real, and we can't debunk it anymore. We can't pull it into Photoshop and bring up the levels because they're going to be far past our ability to inspect. But this information that has been coming out over the past 5 years, information that people can use these old footage reels that they have and pick them apart, that information helps us understand that there is a deception going on here, and it is something we need to pay attention to. And so, when we look towards the future and the things that were shown and the things that were told, let's just remember who's telling us these things and look at the Word of God as our foundation of truth. And that's kind of the purpose of the film, What If the Earth is Flat? So, thank you all for coming and listening. And, of course, you can pick up the film on nystv.org. You got it out there, and you can watch it for free. So be sure to check that out, and thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being here.